Greetings. It is my distinct pleasure to provide a quick overview of our event today, as well as an introduction for Dr. Allison Shutt. Unfortunately, Dr. Karen Peterson, the president, cannot be with us today. She sends her congratulations to Dr. Shutt on the installation and is very disappointed that she could not be here in person to celebrate with Allison, with you, and with particular Allison's family members who are here today. We are here today to install Allison as the Elbert L. Fausett Distinguished Professor of History. She follows a line of distinguished faculty who have held this professorship, starting with George Thompson, also in history, Bob Eslinger in mathematics, Tom Goodwin in chemistry, Stella Čapek in sociology, and Matt Moran in biology. The Elbert L. Fausett Professorship was established in 1980 by Mr. Fausett, who was a leading Arkansas realtor and businessman, and also a great benefactor and longtime friend of the college. Fausett Hall is also named after Mr. Fausett. Allison received a BA in history from William Smith College in 1983, an MA in African Studies in 1986, and a Ph.D. in history in 1995, both of those last two from the University of California, Los Angeles. She joined the Hendrix faculty as a member of the Department of History in 1997. Seems like yesterday. Allison's specialty is colonial Zimbabwe, and in 2019, she was invited to deliver the keynote address to the Zimbabwe Historical Society's annual meeting. Allison teaches courses in African history, historical role-playing, and designing games for history. Allison has also taught frequently in all of the various versions of the first-year experience seminars. Her first book was Manners Make a Nation, Racial Etiquette in Southern Rhodesia, which has received recognition from colleagues in African studies. She is now hard at work on a biography of an interesting Zimbabwean. Of course, she has also served in almost every single leadership role on campus, to her chagrin. From the social sciences area chair, to get this one, to the kinesiology department chair. Multifaceted. Personally, it has been my joy to work with Allison over the years, even when we both were fairly new faculty working together in the Western Intellectual Traditions course, where we spent many lunches bemoaning and praising things that happened and didn't happen. I enjoyed working with her and the Committee on Faculty. It was a great 4 years. Allison is almost always willing to step forward for any job, namely the chair of kinesiology. And I've always appreciated that about her, and I love her friendship and her willingness to sort of do whatever is asked of her for Hendrix, almost always asked of her for Hendrix. To speak about their personal experiences with Allison's contributions to the college and to our own community, we have asked Stacy Schwarzkopf and Robin Hartwick to be part of the program today. Stacy.
Thank you. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm imagining you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, good morning. I'm very happy I have the happy task today to tell you about my dear friend Allison, and she is recognized as a distinguished professor. So the theme of my talk today is the awesomeness of Allison. I was thinking about how to describe the awesomeness of Allison, and one obvious way is to talk about her awesomeness as a teacher and as a scholar. I will talk about that, but I've decided that the best way that I can talk about Allison is as her awesomeness as a neighbor. So when I first came to Hendrix in 2011, Allison was my actual neighbor. She lived around the corner from me. She was also my area chair at that point. So I got a chance to know her both on campus and off campus, and she was a good friend to me when I first got here, when I didn't know very many people. And she's become a good friend as well to my family, my wife and son. But I got to know Allison even better a couple of years later when she became my office neighbor after she was done being area chair and moved next door to me in Mills 306. For those of you who don't know the 306, let me briefly describe the neighborhood. It's mostly a hallway to the faculty lounge, and along with me and Allison, Brett Hill's office is around the corner. So it's a small neighborhood, very high quality, moderate lunchtime traffic. So being her office neighbor is a great way to appreciate the awesomeness of Allison. Pretty much every day I'm here on campus, I get to see Allison, and getting to know and work with her has really been one of the great joys of my time here at Hendrix. Allison is almost always the first person I talk to when I need to talk to someone. We talk about a lot of things, including teaching. We talk about scholarship. And I've gotten a lot of good advice for her about many, many kinds of teaching issues or things that we've run into. And out of that, she's always made me, help me to be a better teacher and mentor to our students. As a classroom teacher, Allison is probably best known across campus for her innovative Doing History courses, where students take on roles and play games based on historical events like the French Revolution or the end of apartheid. Anyone who works in Mills during her classes has probably seen students in costume or heard them shouting with revolutionary fervor. These classes are really the gold standard of engaged learning at Hendrix, and I think many people recognize that. What I don't think most people get to see, but what I have a front row seat for, is the many hours of patient coaching that go into the work before the shouting, that students spend time with Allison, where she guides them for how they can be better scholars, to better enact their roles. And so she really does a fabulous job of drawing out the best of them. And it's obvious that she cares deeply about our students. Allison and I share many of the same academic interests, and we often talk about history and archives and the places where we work in Guatemala and Zimbabwe. It's only through Allison that I know anything at all about Southern Africa, and through her I've gotten to know some wonderful scholarly friends, several of whom have become my friends as well. I can tell you that she is a terrific colleague from what I hear from them, and to her fellow scholars in the US and also in Southern Africa. And of course, she wrote an amazing award-winning book. In addition to all this professional stuff, we talk a lot about personal things, our families, our pets, and our slightly misspent youth. Allison loves nature, she loves music, and she has a deep appreciation for claymation and the Muppets. I'll come back to that. I was looking back, and I've got dozens of emails from her sending me songs by singers, pictures of the bees flying around her house, as well as live feeds of pandas and otters in the National Zoo that I need to watch. So I thought I would end this appreciation of the awesomeness of Allison with an inspiring quote from one of her heroes. But it turns out that Shaun the Sheep has no dialogue. So instead, I'll close with something that Nancy Jacobs, who is one of Allison's graduate school friends and a colleague, said to me when I first met her, and so the introduction had come through Allison. And we were beginning to just get to know one another, and we were chatting and telling stories about Allison. And at some point, she just paused and said, "She's just a good person." And I think that sums it up in terms of appreciating the awesomeness of Allison. I think all of us would agree. I'm so happy to see her being recognized today as a distinguished professor. Congratulations.
Now I'll go there. Good morning. I have been given roughly 3 minutes to talk about my friend of 25 years. That's not nearly enough, Marshall Pesca, but I'll give it a go. I started at Hendrix in 1996. Allison became a member of the history department in 1997. She joined the greats, Larson, McCainch, Shantz, and was one of approximately 17 female faculty members way back then. I thought that was pretty remarkable. I was admin for the education department. Yes, there was also an education department at that time, so we didn't really have a chance to get to know each other. Fast forward to 1999, and I replaced the retiring social sciences area assistant. Our friendship happened easily, but when I became the admin for her department, we discovered that we both have November birthdays 1 year apart. She's the older one. In 2012, Allison became social sciences area chair. There is a lot to navigate in that position, as many of you know. She did a stellar job of it. We worked together easily during that 4-year period. It was definitely a bonding experience. I think it was around that time she started calling me sister. Allison does quite a bit of Xeroxing for her classes. Over the years, I have copied many chapters of history books. I know more about African history than I ever dreamed of knowing about African history. The Xerox machine is Allison's albatross, so I am on standby at all times to dispel that anxiety and, frankly, in her words, to keep her from beating that machine senseless or blowing it to smithereens. In 25 years, Allison and I discovered we have many things in common. At some point, our familial name went from sister to sista. We could talk for hours if we had the chance. We chat about family, gardening, and our travels through Arkansas. Sometimes it's not all lighthearted conversation. She is a great listener, and I know that caring attitude extends to her students. I've had numerous conversations with students that go on and on about their love of her classes and as a professor and advisor. I look forward to many more conversations with my friend and colleague, and yes, Xeroxing chapters. You truly are a distinguished professor in my book, and so, my sister, I offer you my sincerest congratulations.
The faculty at Hendrix are the heart of the institution. Allison Shutt is a role model for all of us in supporting and living the college's motto, unto the whole person. It's kind of hard to read and hold this up at the same time, but here's the medal. With the authority given to the president by the trustees of Hendrix College, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, and in recognition of your significant and exemplary work as a member of the faculty, I hereby install you, Dr. Allison Shutt, as the Elbert L. Fausett Distinguished Professor of History with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
Thank you. And thank you to Robin and Stacy for speaking on my behalf today. Stacy, you are an outstanding colleague and a wonderful suite mate. We talk often, we take walkabouts, we discuss ideas, and we do exchange musical playlists. Thank you. Robin, your title does not capture everything you do for us in Mills. Building coordinator, copy machine explainer and fixer, and a dear friend, thank you. My thanks also to the Fausett family for their generous endowment and faith in the Hendrix College faculty. And thank you to everyone who was involved in the planning of this event today. Hendrix has been good to me and my family. My brother John worked at Bailey Library, where he met Christina, and they married. They are here today. They drove from Springfield, Illinois, with their 2 sons, the beautiful Jonathan, age 9, and the newborn, 1.5 months old, Christopher Michael. I call that love and support. Thank you. My sisters Pamela and Deborah are not able to be here today, but I am so looking forward to our big family reunion with them, with Jim, with Candy, with John and Christina and all the kids. We have a lot to celebrate. And thank you to my friend Leslie McCaskill, who is here today, for your support today and every day. In her address to the community last week, President Peterson offered what we might call a macro view of the college, the challenges and opportunities in the college's history and in the broad trends in liberal arts education. She told us that our past should give us hope for our future. I agree. I write history at the micro level. I have published work on specific communities with dates like 1938, one event, 1931 to 1952 about a particular farming community, and then really stepping out of my comfort zone, 1910 to 1963. Now I'm writing a biography of a fascinating Zimbabwean, and my time frame of interest professionally is 1917 to 1984. But my goal in all of this work is to comment on larger trends and ideas by focusing tightly on a community, an event, or a person. Today, I would like to offer you a microhistory, if you will, a biography of my time here at Hendrix by focusing on my department. There has been tremendous change in the history department over the years in personnel and classes offered, but also important continuity, such as our values and our commitment to students and our colleagues. And let me begin here. I am a proud member of this faculty. This college is a gem of a place, and I am so fortunate to have found my place here. I've had the opportunity to chair departments, teach a variety of courses, participate in significant decisions about the future of the college, and learn from you, my talented colleagues, in workshops, committees, and in the classroom. I would not be standing here today if David Larson had not chaired the committee that supported my hire back in 1997, and I am so pleased that David and Marilyn are here today. Thank you. I saw David at an event recently. He came up to me, gave me a big hug, congratulated me on this honor, and when I said I was the last member of the department that hired me to still be at Hendrix, he said, "Yes, that's right." And then, without missing a beat, added, "So now you can be the matriarch of the department." Thank you, David. I'll do that. Yes, I am. When David gave me the details of my on-campus interview and gave me the names of the search committee members, I was a bit taken aback when he said, "And a chemist." Very liberal arts. David quickly added a chemist who is interested in Africa. And of course, I don't need to tell you that chemist was Tom Goodwin, who was the Elbert L. Fausett Distinguished Professor of Chemistry from 2004 to 2017, and I love that symmetry. And let me pause here to recognize Ian King. Thank you. Ian was also on that search committee, and I need to let you know he asked me a very precise question about South African historiography. Thank you, Ian, which I tried to answer. My original department was open to change and had good mentorship in place to help me succeed. We disagreed from time to time, but we were never disagreeable. My department supported me as I introduced new courses, experimented with teaching methods, and accepted administrative roles that took me away from the department. I was the first, but not the last, woman to be hired in the department. My position also added an entirely new field and continent to the department's offerings. They could have hired someone in a different field, as the job advertisement listed several subject areas of interest and need in a small department at a small liberal arts college. They chose Africa and me. What was new, hiring a woman and adding a new field, became normal practice in my department, as it should be. And from there, I met Carol West, and Carol is here in what she calls her civilian clothing, and Alice Hines, and together we crafted an Africana Studies minor. And from there, I collaborated with many of you on TEC, WIT, Crossings on Development, and many other projects. I am proud of my department. Thank you, Deb, Todd, Sasha, and Jonathan. Like David, Garrett, Mark, and James before them, they are student-centered teachers and advisors and committed to serving this college. And they are open, very open, to new ideas, including new courses. When I told them about a new course I wanted to offer, one that wasn't necessarily grounded in African history, they were enthusiastic. After playing with the name of the course for a while, I came to doing history. Years ago, Mark Shantz told me that his teaching philosophy was to give students as much guidance and background as they needed to succeed, and then to just get out of their way. I love to get out of the way of our students. A student tells me to sit down in the back of the room because, as she put it, we got this. Another student tells me that the president of Sweden is not on campus today for reasons I don't recall, but is on Teams and wants to make a speech before the vote on the final protocols for climate change. Another student, playing the president of the Indian National Congress, watches as his painstaking negotiations for a unified India unravel into chaos. Those of you in Mills may recall this moment last spring. He puts his head on the table in front of him, takes his cap in hand, throws it to the corner of the room, and then, in a beautiful moment, he gets up, fully in character, and gives an impassioned speech about the need for tolerance and compromise. His colleagues listen politely, as they should, and then, as you remember, they loudly denounced him and moved on. I could say more about Hendrix, how it is a gem of a place and worth fighting for, but I'm also mindful of my time and your time and the heat, and also the pitfalls of speaking for too long, even if you're a tremendous speaker. As an example, let me take you back to 1988, when the young governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton, addressed the Democratic National Convention. He was given 15 minutes to speak, and y'all know what he did. He went on and on and on to almost 40 minutes. They were giving him flashcards, stop. He wasn't using a teleprompter, so they were jumping up and down because the president nominee was going to speak next, and they were worried that Clinton was going to speak so long that television would not cover Dukakis' speech. If you find a C-SPAN recording of that speech, what you will see is a camera roving over the audience that is increasingly restless and agitated. And when Clinton finally said, in closing, the best line in his speech, y'all, the crowd roared its approval. So now let me say, and react as you must or want to. In closing, Thank you. Thank you to my past and present department colleagues. Your support over the years has meant the world to me. Thank you. Thank you to the president. Thank you to David, to my colleagues, and to all of you for this honor, which I gratefully accept. Thank you.
Following the benediction, we ask that you be seated while the faculty and platform party recess, and once the recessional has completed, we invite you to join us in the lobby for refreshments and good fellowship together. And now, with thankful hearts and renewed inspiration, may we go forth with purpose and joy.